Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're diving into something, really important these days, especially in our digital world. We're talking about trust. We're online all the time, sharing our information, trusting the cloud. But what happens when that trust, well, when it's gone?
And that's what we're really digging into today. We've got some really interesting articles here by Liat Show. She's a business development specialist, and get this, she's based in San Francisco, which is really important for this conversation.
Okay, yeah, San Francisco, the heart of Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
She's right there in the thick of it. So what's got Liat's attention?
Well, she's noticed this fascinating thing happening. There's this big push in cybersecurity called zero trust architecture. Basically, it's this idea that you shouldn't automatically trust any system or user. But Liat, she's arguing that this whole never trust mindset, it's starting to, bleed into our personal lives, even changing how we build relationships outside of work.
Okay, hold on. Two things before we go any further. First, zero trust architecture. For those of us who don't speak tech all day, what does that even mean?
So imagine this. You have to unlock your phone, right? And then you've got to enter your email password, maybe verify a bank transaction with the code. Zero trust architecture, it's like that, but for everything, all the time. Every single device, every user, anytime someone wants access, it's treated with suspicion until it's proven legit.
So it's like, I'm not a robot, but for everything.
Yeah.
I get it. Okay, second thing. You said Liat's in San Francisco, and that's important. Why is that?
Because she's seeing it firsthand. Silicon Valley, it's all about global connections, right? Innovation, working together. But at the same time, it's like the breeding ground for this zero trust approach. The stakes are so high. You've got data breaches, cyber threats, all that. It's right there watching how these two forces, the global connection and the constant suspicion, they're kind of clashing.
That's a wild paradox. So how does this whole never trust thing, how does that actually show up in our personal lives? Does Liat give any examples?
Oh, yeah, definitely. One thing she talks about is this idea of a psychological burden. Like, imagine spending your whole day scrutinizing every email, every download, always on the lookout for the catch. It's exhausting.
Yeah, it's like you're working out your suspicion muscle all day long, and then you're supposed to come home and just relax,
Yeah.
trust your date. That's got to be hard.
Exactly. Liat's saying that it's like your brain is always on high alert, which can make it tough to, really connect with people. You might find yourself questioning their motives or having a hard time being vulnerable, even with people you're close to.
Wow. So the more we try to protect ourselves online, the more disconnected we become offline.
That's the big question Liat's asking, and it's not just about feeling personally strained. This affects businesses too.
Hmm.
Like Liat was saying, companies really feel this when they're trying to, expand globally. You've got to build trust to do business, right? Especially across different cultures.
Totally. What we see is like normal background checks here could be a huge red flag somewhere else.
That's exactly it. Liat's point is that this whole zero trust thing, even though it's supposed to, protect us, it might actually be hurting us when it comes to building relationships with other countries.
It's like we're so busy building up our digital defenses that we forget to build bridges to everyone else.
Right. And here's the other thing. This also affects younger generations, the ones who basically, grew up online.
Oh, absolutely. They're already dealing with so much on social media, the comparisons, the pressure, maybe even distrust.
Exactly. And then we pile on top of that, telling them to watch out for scams and data breaches and fake news. It's a lot.
So we're basically raising a generation that's like afraid to trust anyone or anything. If you grow up thinking the internet is dangerous, does that change how you see the real world too?
That's what worries Liat. She's saying all this hypervigilance, this zero trust, by default, it makes it harder for young people to connect with each other, not just online, but in person too.
Man, that's kind of sad when you think about it. Isn't being able to trust and be trusted like a fundamental part of being human? Friendships, relationships, even just feeling like you belong somewhere.
100%. And that brings us to what I think is the heart of what Liat's saying. It's a big question. Can you really truly fall in love without trust?
Whoa, now we're getting philosophical. But it makes you wonder, right? I mean, online dating is already like navigating a minefield. But if you add on top of that, this zero trust mindset,
It gets even trickier. How are you supposed to open up to someone when you're always questioning their motives or worried about getting hurt?
it's almost like, the old saying, love means never having to say you're sorry. But these days, it's more like love means constantly proving you're not a catfish.
Yeah, it's kind of true. But here's the good news. Liat doesn't just, leave us with the problem. She actually hints at what a solution might look like. And it all starts with awareness.
Okay, so we're aware that this whole zero trust thing is happening, not just in our tech, but in our heads too. Got it. Now what?
Well, Liat's saying we need to be careful about where we choose to place our trust. It's not about being naive, just like blindly trusting everyone. But we have to realize that not every interaction needs that same level of suspicion.
Right, like my bank can ask for all my ID, that makes sense. But doing that on a first date? Probably not a good look.
Exactly. It's about finding a balance. We can have strong security, absolutely, but we also have to make space for trust to grow.
That's easier said than done, though, don't you think?
Yeah.
Especially with technology changing so fast. What are some, concrete things people can do to start building that trust? Online and offline, I mean.
Liat suggests starting small, like really making an effort to actually listen to people online, really engage with them instead of assuming everyone's out to get you, or being more open and vulnerable in our relationships. Yeah, it can feel risky, but
We have to actively choose to trust, even in small ways,
yeah,
to kind of fight that instinct to be suspicious.
exactly. If we don't, we're going to miss out on those real connections.
It's like we're all walking around with these walls up, too scared to let anyone in. Sometimes you just gotta, lower your defenses a little.
That's a great way to put it. And remember, trust goes both ways, right? We want people to trust us, so we have to be trustworthy too.
That's so true. This has been, wow, really eye-opening. A little challenging, honestly. But in a good way. It's definitely given me a lot to think about.
Me too. I think the biggest thing to take away from all this is that even though technology is changing how we think about trust, it doesn't have to control how we connect with each other. We're still human.
I love that. So, listeners, what do you think? Have you noticed this zero trust thing creeping into your life? How do you build trust in this digital world? Tell us about it. Come find us on social media. Keep the conversation going.
And until next time, keep diving deeper.